So welcome. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Right.
Hello, welcome. I'm Ann Vogel, and thanks for coming to Dragon Tail Books. I see there's someone online. I hope you can see the chat. I think if you make it full screen, you might not be able to. So I think Georgia is going to have us interact. So you might want to make it not full screen so you can see the chat. And so thank you, Georgia, for coming and talking about transformational coaching, right, in your new business. So,
Yes, and thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. So
Welcome to Make Your Dreams a Reality. I am Georgia Lee Arts, and I'm the founder and owner of Elysian Dream. So we'll get started with some introductions and get to know each other a little bit. And we'll talk about what coaching is, why dreams are important, and we'll talk about community dream power, and we'll do some dream building fun, and I'll share some opportunities with you as well as how to get a hold of me. So I'll go ahead and go first, and then we'll come back and get your story. So I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to be in life. So I'm a retired dreamer. So I retired from my former career. So I was in the military for 24 years, Air Force. Then I worked for civil service, and then I worked for a clinic, and I did some marketing, and COVID hit, and I'm like, this is a chance to do, it was questions about if the end came, what would I regret if I didn't do it? So then I got into entrepreneurial training and coach training, and I've always loved helping people with their careers. I love working with people. So and then I had to figure out, well, what do I call myself? I guess I help people in the area of life design, so I'm a dream life designer. So I had to call myself something. So I live here in Menominee, and I have more than 30 years in coaching, training, and leadership. And so that's what I love to do. And I'm a triple certified coach in the areas of life, spirituality, and energy. And I'm also into career. I'm not certified in career, but that's the brunt of my working background. And most career coaches who do hold a certification actually help people with resumes and actually finding the job. I help in other areas. That's helping people find their passion and purpose. So the concept of Elysian Dream, if anybody's been on my website, I'm not sure, but I try to make things fun. So I've kind of created a bit of a story world and a bit of a dreamscape where people can come in, and I have a ton of tools that they can try out to get to where it is they need to be. Fear is hard and it's scary, so I try to make it fun. And I work by phone or Zoom to include internationally, and next week I actually start with somebody all the way in Sweden. So then my schedule shifts to a little bit. And any questions about me? Okay. And now it's turn for your story.
you want to go first?
Go ahead.
So I'm not sure. So we have Carol online. So I'm not sure if you can see the screen. But so my name is Ann Vogel, and I am originally from outside of Milwaukee, but now I live in Menominee, and I have for the last 10 years. And so a job at UW South brought me to Menominee, and what brought me here to Dragon Tail Books is I'm the owner. So, and my dream, I'm dreaming, I'm living the dream, right? So I have my own business, and I'm hoping that it will succeed and that I can bring community together in Menominee. And I'm also on county board, so I just want to make Menominee great and Dunn County great. That's my story.
Thank you, Ann.
I can go.
Mhm.
I'm Jane, and I grew up in Menominee. I moved away. It was gone 26 years. I moved back 4 years ago, and then COVID hit. So I'm now just getting out and getting involved in the community myself. I am a dreamer. as Georgia is. And I've known Georgia for a couple of years, so I'm here to support her, but also learn more about her business so that I can let others know about her. I'm an artist. I would say I'm a writer. I'm just a creative person, and I don't think there's anything I wouldn't try to do. Sometimes it's hard to narrow it down, but I'm always on a journey to betterment, and that's why I'm here. Maybe I can learn something.
Hope you haven't learned to do your artwork.
No.
Okay.
For the month.
Okay.
And I got disconnected for a second, but I put in the questions in the chat, so we'll see if Carol responds.
Okay. She's waiting for us.
I don't know, Carol, can you chat your story, or maybe we should move on?
Oh,
and if-
so we can't hear voice.
No, it's
Okay,
just chat.
that's okay.
It's okay.
All right. We'll go on. We would have loved to have had Carol's story, however.
I should have done a Zoom instead of live stream, but
That's okay.
Yeah.
So what coaching is, so first we'll start out with what coaching isn't. There's so much confusion in the field of coaching. And there's a lot of coaches that don't know, so they cross lines.
she chatted with you. Like to hear her
Yep.
story.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go
So
back.
she said she's Carol and she's from Menominee, a recently retired teacher and exploring future dreams. So,
Ooh,
so
nice.
yeah, so you're
Okay.
Welcome, Carol.
yeah,
So
welcome.
she might be looking for a new career. Okay. I'd love to work with you, Carol. Okay, so in the field of coaching, coaching isn't therapy or counseling. So you may have counselors who get into coaching, but we don't treat disorders or anything. Now, I may have clients that have issues of some kind, but I don't treat them. So we don't cross lines in those areas. So it isn't healing trauma, and it isn't consulting. So consulting is where I might go into a company, and with my training background, I could look at their whole organization and develop a training program for them. I could find out their weaknesses and flaws and make recommendations, and I could either implement them or they could. So that's what consulting is. And so coaching is also not telling, advising, or even training. So those are all different roles. And ethics is something I'm very big on as a coach. In the field of coaching, we have sometimes clients that won't come back and work with the coach because of issues in the industry. So I try to talk about this a little bit. So what coaching is it's partnering with the client in a thought-provoking and creative process. So I'm inspiring them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So when you tell people and you tell them what the issue is or how to solve something, sometimes they get very upset. And that's because people want to take ownership. They have pride in coming to their answers on their own. Everybody has the answers within them. So as a coach, I help the person unlock what those answers are. And even when I know what the issue is, I don't tell them, but I will have about 1,001 questions prepared. And I'll be like, oh my goodness, they still don't get it. So I'll come up with more questions, and eventually they get it. And it comes on like a light bulb, and they're like, they just feel so happy and just the pride in knowing they can solve their own problem, really. So there's a lot of different types of coaches. If you can think of any topic, there's probably a coach for it. So I focus mostly on the career area. I'm also in the wellness industry a little bit. Mostly the career area is what my focus is. So, and why hire a coach? So I'm focusing just on what I do here. So as a coach, I help people. They may have issues not knowing how to get promoted. It could be performance and leadership issues. A lot of times in the military world, I was performing as a leader long before I got the role. But in the civilian world, it's different. So you have leaders that they get a position and they don't know how to lead, and that causes not only issues for them but for the whole organization. And right before COVID hit, I helped one organization clean up a mess that was over $200,000. So sometimes you'll have even CEOs that come in and they start up a company, and they have all the money and the cash to do it, but they don't have the skill set. So if they're not checking their records and crossing the I's, or crossing the, what is it, G's, dotting the I's, a whole lot of things can happen. So I help them solve all those issues before COVID hit. So burnout, career burnout. Sometimes we've just been in our field for a long time and it's the right career field for us, but we're burned out. We need something new and refreshing. And other people, they're just not in the right career. And I also help people with their branding. It can be a personal brand or a business brand, like a professional brand. So kind of 3 different types of branding. And also trying to up-level their life and career. And sometimes they don't have the right alignment in life. So a great example, and I've heard this so many times, is they have a killer career. It pays a lot of money, but they're extremely unhappy. And they're really not in the right career field. So, they go home and then they're unhappy and miserable. And I don't know, maybe they take the dog or something. But it's kind of a domino effect, because when people are unhappy, it affects everything else in their life, to include their health. So the field of coaching is unregulated at this time. There's very few certified coaches. So people looking for a coach really have to do their homework and research and make sure it's the right coach for them. And anybody looking to be a coach, I always like to give a little credit to Diana Adkins. So she's the owner of Artist of the Spirit, and it's a coach certification program. So putting that out for her. So my style of coaching, I'm kind of an atypical coach. I come in with a huge background of different fields of leadership training, coaching, to include a lot of military stuff. But life design is an interesting field, and people just use the term and throw it out there. What it is it's actually a process that comes out of Stanford University. There's something out there in the woo-woo world called human design. These are 2 different things. So life design, it's a process. It's kind of helping, it's like a compass. So it's helping people find their direction, getting unstuck. And also one thing that people don't do is come up with alternatives. So they have this great idea and they just run straight forward, and then there's issues with it. So, and why this is important is I have people do what's called prototyping. So with prototyping, not only do they have alternatives, but a lot of times what they really want might not be the best fit, and there could be a lot of reasons. So this is a way to give people a way to try something new on. Kind of try it before you buy it. Try it before you sink all of your time and your money into something. So not very many people do this. And I also have a unique style. So I'm a depth coach. And what that is, most people haven't heard of the term. I go very deep with people. So I go deep into personality, and I also go into narrative. So kind of rewriting the story and what they want that outcome to be. So I use multiple modalities to get people the results that they want to get. So the style I use is what gets us sustainable and lasting results for people. A lot of people say they're a transformational coach or whatever, but that's a pretty overused term. Most people are more transactional. So that is, how do I find more time in my day, for example, simpler things. But getting really deep transformation, you got to go on a much deeper level. So 10% of our minds are, and what we're aware of is conscious. The other 90% is our subconscious. So that's where all of our behaviors, beliefs, and bad habits come from. So dreams, why could they be important? I don't know that I totally need to answer it, but I'll try. So the number one regret that people have at the end of their life is that they didn't live the life of their dreams. There's a lot of articles about this. And the number one dream killer is fear. We all have it. Okay. I think I might have come up with this term. I call it the economy of vocation over job. So that is people being in a job that is the right fit for them, not just going to work every day and humdrum and they're kind of bored. 99% of people are plugged into the wrong career. There's actually a study on that. So if 99% of people are not doing the right job, think of how unhappy and miserable they are. So I used to solve a lot of workplace conflicts. So that's an area that I try to help people with too. And some of it stems from people aren't in the right career for their personality type. And there's kind of a darker side too. So I delve into that and help people with workplace bullying and other issues too. But the economy, where I get into the economy of vocation over a job, doing what you're uniquely designed to do on this earth is so important. Living what your passion is, because when you're miserable and unhappy, like your health issues stem from that and so many other things. So I like to help make people happy too. So, and I have what I call the 2/3 rule. So you spend a third of your life at work, and then the other third is spent sleeping. Okay, if you're in a job that you aren't totally happy with, right? That's 99% of people, according to the study, then you're probably not going to be sleeping very well either. So what is the quality of the life would be my question. And coming from the veteran community, there's on average 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. I think their rates are actually up. And then the civilian community, their rates are slightly lower. I didn't put the rates on there. So sometimes people have issues, but sometimes they're just extremely unhappy in life. So getting people plugged into the right the right resources is really critical. I gotta get a little water.
Oh, do you have water? Oh,
Yeah.
I have some in the fridge.
So I used to work in a field, the RTMS is for repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation. So I used to work with patients who were depressed or had anxiety. So I worked with a team of psychiatrists and neurologists. And so this is a form of energy healing, and it's a drug-free treatment. So as a treater, of course, I don't counsel patients, but I was able to talk with many of them. And it was so amazing in my time in that industry. A lot of people were just so unhappy in their lives. They weren't in the right job. And it was so interesting that later I came across all this other research and I'm like, maybe there's just another way for people. I think it's important to be in the right place in life. So, and when you're unhappy, not in the right job, you have no energy. You don't have the power to create the life that you really want. And about being stuck, there's no such thing as being stuck. There's always a way to get out of the jam. There's always a way. And is there any questions or thoughts?
So I'm kind of interested in like kind of transforming like where you're at, because if like there is no promotion opportunities or like then how can you make the job more interesting, or like I don't know if that's part of what you help people with.
And if they're unhappy in what they're doing, there's a way out of it. There's always a way out of it, and it's going to be unique for every person.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I think what you're saying is you're happy in your position or where you are, but how can I create it something even larger?
Right.
Or
yeah.
And so that's what she's saying. She's happy. Let's say the bookstore. She's happy with the bookstore, but how can she create something even more magnificent, right?
Or where I was before, it was like, yeah, how do you just kind of make it
And
more
sometimes
interesting, or depending on,
one of the things I do, and this is with the other 90% of your brain that's subconscious, I have a lot of tools and techniques and also dreaming techniques that help people tap into their intuition and their creativity and problem solving on a much deeper level. So I'm a creative as well. I'm an artist as well. I make jewelry. I'm pretty multidimensional. So at some point I said, you have to quit creating and actually start doing something. But a lot of how I got the business, how I came into Elysian Dream was really through dreaming techniques that I use. And most coaches don't go into most of those areas. They're more generic. So what I came up with was just the passion for what I wanted to help people with. So is there any more questions? Carol? Okay. So when you're not in the right place in life, your energy is usually below the line somewhere on any given day. So we can be very at the top where we're just happy and we're in the flow of life. We have passion for what we're doing, or we can be way at the bottom. So trying to pull people up to a better spot is also one of the things that I work on. It was pretty interesting when I first came across a spiral. I'm like, that it makes perfect sense. Any questions on the spiral? Okay. So in having a community of people to help you live out your dream is really important. So I go back into the 2/3 rule, where we're spending a third of our life at work and the other third sleeping. That's a lot of our life to not be doing the right thing. So sometimes one thing I encounter is people want to make a change. They want to do something different, but it's not even the client that has the issue with change. Sometimes it's the family members or the wife or the husband or the people around them, because they're also afraid of change. It could be for a multitude of reasons, like they're afraid of losing somebody. So that's pretty common, but finding the right people to surround you. Not everybody will be for you. A lot of people aren't for you, but it's finding the right tribe of people who are going to support you in bringing your dream to life. And some people are unsure. They just don't really know what their gift is. They're looking for it. So I can help them. We get deep into depth. That was interesting the way I said that. So using depth coaching, I get deep into the personality, the identity of the person. We can also go into the dreaming aspect of it, what they do at night. And that helps them tap in on a very deep level to their intuition and to their creativity and problem solving. And there's a lot of really neat things in this field. So getting started on how to actually make your dreams a reality is identifying what it is that you want to change. So we have to know what that is first. And a lot of us, we're living somebody else's story. From the time we're born until age whatever, we have all these programs from our caregivers, from society. So we don't even know that we're living somebody else's story. So that's partly why I'm into narrative coaching. I get this a lot. I don't want to become my mother. and there's great things about my mom that I would love to be more like, but there's things I'm like, no, I'm going to rewrite my story in that area. But so that's really important. So getting unstuck. So our thoughts, blocks, habits, patterns, our core beliefs, getting deep into the authenticity of who we are. We all have a shadow side of our personality that we don't fully understand. But once we understand it, we can change it. And we can overcome the obstacle that we're trying to transcend. And I talk about the subconscious mind quite a bit. So that's the other 99%. So that part of your brain that isn't so much known to you, it has two functions. So it wants to keep you right and safe. So a lot of times when people are trying to make a change, they run into struggles. And it's because, have you ever had somebody argue with you because they know they're right, but it's they you know that they know they're wrong. Okay, they're not right, but they're going to argue that they're right. So that is a function of trying to stay safe. And it's kind of a coping strategy that people use. And also, so staying safe. So we have a part of our brain that doesn't want us to change, and getting past that change can be extremely hard. So people tend to use 4 strategies. So one of them is pleasing, and these aren't bad, but sometimes they can actually be very good. It's when they're keeping us from getting to our dream. So you might have somebody with a pleaser, who's a pleaser type, but then they get burned out because they're doing everything for everybody. That's not working for them anymore. Then you have controllers who try to control you. And then isolators and distractors. I have an interesting quiz for this, and most people are usually one type. But sometimes, we all employ different strategies at different times. So, and these strategies actually come from ancient psychology. So I mix a little bit of ancient with modern in what I do too. Are there any questions?
So I often think I like change if I'm making it. But if someone else is telling me I have to change, then I don't, and then I fight it. So is there a part of us that it's like, well, if we're the ones doing it,
It's your idea. then,
right?
yeah,
Then it,
yeah, no,
but when it's like
absolutely.
no one will listen to you, or like, and they do it a different way, and so then you're changing to meet someone else's.
Right, you feel like you're being forced to do something you don't want to do, told.
Right. So is that a piece of change?
And it can be, absolutely, it can be, and it's a part of people really just inherently don't like to be told what to do. They want to come into it on their own. So sometimes, I don't know, maybe a strategy can be, if you're trying to get someone to do something, is to make it their idea.
Right, that's what I do. It's like, look, if you're good enough with your words and your ideas, you can present it in a way that they think it's their idea, and it works.
Exactly.
There's ways of talking to people, and there's ways not to talk to people. I mean, I look at the pleaser and the distractor, and I can't tell you how many years I was there. I'm not anymore. I mean, I've done a lot of work, and a lot of it comes with having to look at yourself and own your stuff. And so many times in business, and I've been in business myself, and I've helped many people start their businesses, but that was because it kept me from looking at my own dreams. It's very easy, I think, to fall. Look, she's got those strategies up there. It's very easy, I think, to fall into those categories because it's easier to avoid based on fear or whatever. I mean, I could get behind anybody's dream and help them make it a reality, but I could never look at myself and do it. I mean, I can now, but there were many years I couldn't.
And it's easier to see other people and how to help them than ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, I used to be there. Yeah. So I think that's where your coaching would be valuable for people, where they're they have that fear and they have that. It's basically you bringing out in them what they already know, but they're just avoiding looking at, right?
Right. And sometimes too, as a coach, if I know what the issue is, sometimes they're not ready for it. So that's another good reason why I never tell somebody. And I try to get them to that point. So sometimes it's a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on this slide? Okay. So again, change equals fear. There's a fun book. I read this many years ago, and And it was an interesting time. I was in this one position where people had been there for a long time and things were changing and people were so afraid of it. And I don't remember if this was something that was recommended reading, but it takes a little bit about a fear out of it. And it's a story of, they make it interesting. So they make it a character of a mouse who overstayed his welcome in one spot. And I don't recall the whole story, but I think it was too late for him to leave. He was just happy. He ate all this cheese and he just grew big, and then pretty soon he couldn't leave. So it was a really great concept. So the first step is always taking action. And I love to use the concept of a diamond. So to get to that beauty and that sparkle, we have to go through a little bit of heat and pressure. And sometimes with people, you know, they want to live a different lifestyle because they're unhappy, but their values are off. So it's trying to find a better fit for them. And it's not always about money. It was just an example to put up there. So they may have a conflict between where they're at in life and their values, and it's trying to unearth the values. And sometimes with the value system, they may have beliefs about that, that they have to overcome before they can even get to making that change. And again, having the right energy to make that change is important. So that comes through the language. It comes how you talk to yourself. Oh, I can't do this. There's no way. I'm a failure. So that pulls your energy all the way down. If we look back to the energy spiral, we need to get that energy level up there. And it's everything. It's your diet, it's your lifestyle, your thoughts, how you take care of yourself. So transformation and change is not an overnight process. It's usually, it takes some time. And some coaches will offer a single session. I never do that because I can't guarantee any kind of change within one session. So I only offer packages to people. And having lots of patience for yourself, and don't beat yourself up when something doesn't go quite well, and give yourself rewards along the way. You know, failure, you know, is as much about failing forward. There really is no failure. All the people I know at the top, they didn't get there by not failing. They just don't show it. So, and there's always a solution. Okay, would you guys like to do a dream building exercise? Okay, so you're welcome to close your eyes or not. It helps people. And if you've done this before, and I've had people who say, oh, I've done this before, but then they do it again and they're like, oh, I thought of something new. Okay. So in your mind's eye, see yourself going to the funeral of a loved one. Picture yourself driving to the funeral parlor or chapel, parking the car and getting out. As you walk inside the building, you notice the flowers, the soft organ music. You see the faces of friends and family you pass along the way. You feel the shared sorrow of losing, the joy of having known, that radiates from the hearts of the people there. As you walk down to the front of the room and look inside the casket, you suddenly come face to face with yourself. This is your funeral, 3 years from today. All these people have come to honor you, to express feelings of love and appreciation for your life. As you take a seat and wait for the services to begin, you look at the program in your hand. There are to be 4 speakers. The first is from your family, immediate and also extended children, brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents who have come from all over the country to attend. The second speaker is one of your friends, someone who can give a sense of what you were as a person. The third person is from your work or profession. And the fourth is from your church or some community organization where you've been involved in service. Now think deeply. What would you like each of these speakers to say about you and your life? What kind of husband, wife, father, or mother would you like their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter or cousin? What kind of friend? What kind of working associate? What character would you like them to have seen in you? What contributions, what achievements would you want them to remember? Look carefully at the people around you. What difference would you have liked to have made in their lives? You may open your eyes. What did that bring up?
I can remember a time when I thought there wouldn't be anybody at my funeral.
I've been there too.
And I think my life has transformed so much since then. You know, I just I think it would definitely be a celebration. That's for sure.
Have you guys done this exercise before?
Mm-mm.
Never.
No,
Okay.
I've never heard it before.
So-
Like, whoa.
And this comes out of this book right here, and it is called Begin with the End in Mind. So it's habit number 2 from this book. And I love to start with this because it gets people into what is it they truly want and need to do
Right.
on earth.
So it's kind of like writing your
Sort of. Yeah.
obituary, your epitaph,
Yeah.
or
Or writing your story. You know, if you know the ending, you get to write it from the beginning. You know, you get to start from that day forward and write your new story. Is what
Exactly.
that's what I get from that. You know.
Right. So being a narrative coach, the first time I read this, I'm like, oh, that's creepy. But it's actually perfectly perfect. Like it's a perfect exercise because it really gets people thinking. What about you? Anything that came up?
well, I just was at a family member's funeral in
you-
January
I'm so
or
sorry.
February. So, but just want to. I hope I bring joy, and yeah, I think people will be there and and my family. We're not big talkers, so I was the one who had to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. True. I don't know that I would be the one speaking.
Right. It's my family is. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yes, I
So
want.
that's
yeah.
really designed to
Yeah.
get you to think about what do you want the ending of your story to be, and what is it that
Anything
you
work
still need to get
Work to
done.
it.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions on that? And I'm not sure where we're at on time.
6:39.
Okay. So I have some opportunities for people, and we're sort of at the end here. Usually with more people, things take usually a lot more time. So I have a meetup circle. It's a Miracles, Journeys, Dreams, Make Your Dreams a Reality circle and a Facebook. You can find it on my webpage, and I'll give you that in a moment. And so that's a great group for people to come to. I host all kinds of events within the group. Sometimes I do in person, and sometimes I do on Zoom. So we have some things coming up in the future here. So I do a career talk series. So I have overcoming imposter syndrome. And in a nutshell, what that is it happens with men and women, particularly women. I seem to see that more in women. But no matter how accomplished we are, we feel like we're a fraud, or we just haven't done it good enough, or that we need more credentials. And it's common too with artists. And then I deal with a lot of workplace issues, and this is a common stressor in people. So I have a session on dealing with the jerks at work, and sometimes we're it if we've had the bad day. But people really need strategies and tactics and coping skills and trying to get past those issues, because it can just devastate a person's life. And sometimes we find out that they're just not plugged into the right job. And then empower your dreams. So changing the rules that mother taught you. And this is something I really wanted to do coming from the career fields I've been. And it's not just in the military, it's in the civilian world, it's everywhere. But the feminist movement kind of changed the landscape for women. And here all of a sudden we're in all of these fields of work. And the way women compete is much different from men. So I have, and they're going into mostly men's fields, a lot of fields that used to be men's. So there's so many issues that I try to help people with, trying to change the dynamic on that. And there's a book on that too. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's like, I think it's called Games That Mother Taught You. I don't remember the name of the author. So I have a Twilight Walk and a Dream Journey Circle tomorrow night in Hudson, Wisconsin. And I also host Creators Hours. So for artists or people, maybe they're working on a business plan or whatever it is, it can be anything. It's really just an hour that they can come and relax and ask questions. And if there's any specific topics that people are interested in, let me know. I'm always willing to talk and host different events.
What is the Twilight Walk?
So a Twilight Walk. So the person putting this on is actually my instructor from SBDC, not Santa Barbara. I used to live near there. Small Business Development Center. And
Is that in River Falls?
It's
or-
in River Falls.
Okay,
So
that
she's
is, yeah.
she's an instructor of that class. So she owns a farm in Hudson. So her business is she rescues animals.
Okay.
So, and she's really close to the city. So sometimes they'll do fun events. People like to get away from the city. So it's a little bit of a woo-woo event. So, you know, magical animals and fun stuff. So we have meditations and people bringing crystals in. And so I'm doing like a dream meditation for people. And so that's what that is about.
I'm going.
She's going.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
And it is a walk. You know, it's kind of like through the property, right?
Yeah, so walk through the property. So it's a beautifully laid out property, and she has all kinds of unique animals. Like these aren't typical cows that you would see. They're fancy cows. I don't know what their names are.
Like the highlight, like the
I don't know what
long
they
hair
are.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so she's just a deeply passionate person and loves to save animals' lives. So she has a sanctuary. It's a nonprofit. It's called Pleasant Pastures.
What time is?
And I think that one starts at, did I not put it on here? I want to say around 6-ish. It's probably listed in my circle. So. And I have workshops that I offer also, and these are still being developed. So I don't have them ready for sign up yet. So I have one course for just dreaming and it becomes. And then I have transformational storytelling. So this gets people into, I only have so much time if I'm coaching someone to really rewrite their story, but this is a much longer course. So it's about transformation and change.
6:30.
Okay, thank you, Jane. And then I do a storyteller's course. So I do business branding for creative and wellness professionals. And I can do it for other people too. So that gets deep into psychology a little bit. There's a lot of psychology that goes into marketing and building a brand and persona up. So I help people with that too. So anybody developing a new business, I can help you write content and write your story. I decided I didn't want to do it for people. It takes me too long to write. And I used to do a lot of technical writing, and that's partly why I don't want to offer technical packages to people to rewrite their resume and cover letter. I need a new change in my life, and my direction is definitely creative at this point. So I help people with business brand story and also writing the content for their website. I teach them how to do it, and they don't even have to be great at English. So And is there any questions? So we've talked about coaching through regrets and having a community of support. We did an exercise. Any questions for me? We have a little bit of time left, and we're
15
concluding a little early.
Yeah, 15 minutes. So
Questions for the coach? Throw me under the bus.
what if you don't remember your dream?
Well,
You said you delve into dreaming. So.
and sometimes I don't either, and sometimes we do though. And sometimes there's different techniques that I use with people before bedtime to kind of tap into the intuition and setting the intention. And so sometimes I don't remember my dreams. Sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. writing all my creative ideas down. So as a creative, I just have found I get most of my ideas about 3 in the morning. So, and if I focus on that before I go to bed, I usually wake up with great ideas. I won't say what that does for my morning, but that's how I come into a lot of the creativity that I have.
That's how it works for me too. In the middle of the night, it's like I think that's when we're the calmest and can hear. And I've always likened it to. It's almost like the veil is thinner between those hours between your spirit, whatever you want to call it, God, and ourselves, and just the spiritual world. And I think it just comes a whole lot easier at that time because we're quiet. We can hear.
Mine are usually I abruptly wake up with a nightmare.
Oh,
no.
Like
Oh.
something's crashed or something.
And remember too, at night when you're sleeping, that's the 90% of your brain that's waking up. And it's telling you stories. So it's telling you unresolved issues in your life or creative ideas. But you can tap into that. And I have a lot of tools for that.
She's good.
And I've had nightmares too.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I wake up that dragon tail is all falling off. The ceiling.
no.
But anyway. Yeah. That worry.
She can help you with that.
When I first started tapping into the 90% that night before I go to bed, I had some terrible dreams. Ones I don't even think I can tell people. It's just like I'd wake up and be like, oh my goodness, maybe I shouldn't be practicing this. But I got to tell you, it's worth it. So,
I think it flushes things out.
Yeah.
Things that need to move on, that don't serve you.
So people who are really highly motivated and they want to maximize their life and their potential and their everything, I help with the dream side too. So not just helping you find your dream and live your dream life, but I actually tap into the other side of dreams as well.
And like finding purpose. You have exercises for that. Right?
I do. I do. So and sometimes people don't always know what they want to do. They know there's something they should do, and it's really bugging them, but they just don't know what it is. And you could throw 1,000 ideas at them, but nothing strikes them. So, but there's ways to help people find out what maybe it is that would be their passion and purpose. And sometimes too, it's exposure to different things. You can be taking a trip somewhere and getting inspired. There's a lot of books written about actually innovation and creativity, and a lot of people get ideas. Like you look at people coming from another country, for example, and they see things in a totally different way than we do. And it's the same when we go to another country and we get 1,000 creative ideas from it. And it may be things that nobody's thought of there because it's so mundane to them. It's every day, where that isn't the same here. So having people do different things, taking an action, okay, it's all about action. So doing something different that they're not used to doing, getting them out of the mold and the rut of their normal life is what I like to do. And that's pretty hard, that people will do it. People can do it if they really want to change. So
You have to be ready. I see Russ and some other books too. Is there anything you want to talk about those, or is that?
So anybody interested in this? So this is written these people are out of Stanford, I believe. So designing your life. So they teach people a lot of the same techniques I use in life design. So if you don't want to hire a life designer like me, you can figure it out yourself and read through all the stuff. Some of it's actually a little bit boring and dry, but it's there for people. And the coach training program I certified through is the lineage of Don Miguel Ruiz. So, and this is a book I highly recommend to everyone. It gives you a whole different perspective on life and why people are the way they are, and why we make these agreements in our subconscious mind. And it goes much deeper into what I can give people in an hour. So
My favorite one is don't take things personal, of the 4 agreements. I think
right,
we go through life continually something said or something done, and we take it personally. But it's like once you grow yourself, you realize that it's their story that they're trying to
Yes.
project on us, and it's not our story. And I think when you really, and I think that's what your coaching is all about, is bringing people the awareness of building their story versus the story that somebody else has written for them.
exactly,
Right?
exactly. And a lot of the times, what people do is really more about them. So when somebody's really mean, we can be offended, but it's really all about them, and it's their issue. Another one is being impeccable with your word, and that's coming deep into your authenticity, in integrity, also in your speech to people, and then not making assumptions. It's so easy to do, and that gets us in so much trouble. When I was going through coach training, it's so easy to assume something about a client, but it's completely not true. Or we think, well, my intuition is telling me something. So I have to tell you a story. So I had a client, and I was absolutely positively sure about something. I mean, my intuition was just alarming. I was 100% wrong. So our intuition, while it's right a lot of the time, it can be wrong. So one thing I've actually learned how to track is intuition, because it isn't always accurate. And then another agreement is always do your best. So always trying to give our best to people, avoiding judgments and self-abuse and regret. So those are very important in life. So highly recommended. And there's many other great books too.
And we have the 4 agreements in the bookstore as well
Okay.
as
Oh, okay, you have that too. Okay,
yeah,
great.
this,
Okay,
it's right here.
Yep.
That's,
okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah. I
And
don't have the design in your life though.
and I don't know how hot of a seller that would be, but I get into the weedy part and the boring part, and I give people the fun part to do. I try to make it fun. So I think it's raining. I hear tinkling.
Yeah, there is some kind of drain pipe right behind.
Okay. Yeah, I've been hearing something tinkling away.
Yes. Doesn't seem like we have any questions from online.
Okay. Okay. Do we just have the one person?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Any other thoughts? We have a few minutes.
Did you have on a slide or something so that or that I should put the website
Oh, let me
in
go.
for,
Oh, here we go. We do have a
Okay.
final slide. Yep.
so I'll type that in the chat.
So on average, I just ask for about 24 hours to respond. If I'm out at an event or something and have a full day, it might be a little bit before I get back to someone, but I always do get back.
I think the books are a wonderful thing, and coming to the bookstore and purchasing these books is a wonderful thing, and getting a little bit of information, awareness, I would say, from the books. And then Georgia can help implement those things, because not everybody, it can be a journey into implementing the things that are in the book, and then the expertise that you bring to the
Absolutely.
table. So I think there's two ways. You can start directly with Georgia, but the books give you a little bit of insight and awareness to be able to understand a little bit more about what you're offering, right? Do you think?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of self-help books, and some people prefer to kind of self-coach themselves and read a lot of books, but there's other people who they're like, well, if I had to read all those things, I would never get to it. So I've curated a lot of stuff over many, many years that I've put together. So I have a lot of tools for people to get them to where they want to be.
Yeah. They can only take you so far.
I mean, right,
Yeah.
because I have a library of books, but it took me, it's taken me, my transformation has been 20 years. You want to go a little bit quicker? Get a hold of Georgia.
Right. I will make it go a lot quicker. I take a lot of the work and the hours and time of reading books and then trying to decipher it all, and some of it may not even be relevant for most people. So yeah, I pick out the best for people. At any time I have a box of books arriving. So I'm the person who loves to pick through stuff and find the best and use that to help people. So
Yeah. I thank you so much. This
you're
was
welcome.
so informative.
So I always love to answer questions. So my contact information is here. So
I typed
please,
it in the chat too. So.
please reach out and let me know.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, usually I don't run short. Usually I have a few more people and there's a lot more questions. Usually I'm actually over. I have so much stuff that we run at a time.
So Carol said thank you. So
No.
Tell her I said thank you for her support.
she's
So-
heard you, I'm sure.
This is one, oh, it says an Oprah book. Oprah.
Yeah, those were just a few I pulled.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. All right, I am going to end the stream.
Super. Should I take it?